Ford has said they are canceling 3 different models in the move to EVs, and I think this is a little bit of a mistake. Welcome back to All Cars Y'all. I am John, and yes, Ford has talked about canceling 3 different models. This comes from Automotive News, and Electrek has also talked about it as well. But they're talking about the Escape, the Edge, and the Transit in the move to EVs. And this is really kind of surprising to me, primarily because of the volume 2 of these actually do. Now, first off, let's talk about the Edge. Not a surprise here. This is an old platform that is very, very good for a 2-row SUV. This is a really good platform. When it came out, and for a long time afterwards, its reviews said it was a almost European handling SUV. It's really good, but if you compare it to some more modern stuff, it feels a little chunky. It really does, but it's really good. I would love to have one, but honestly, only at a pretty steep discount for the width of the sills and the size of the dashboard and just the weird proportions that it has. But the other one is the Escape and the Transit. Now, the Transit has already moved to electrification. The Escape is a volume model for them, and I've liked the Escape for multiple generations. And it's a little bit of a surprise because it was redesigned and then spun off into the Bronco and kind of related the Maverick, and then recently refreshed outside and inside. But they're talking about a 2025 sunsetting it away. And I think that's really important here. The Transit's more important. It's not really a minivan. It is, but it isn't. It's more for commercial stuff, but they've been electrifying it. And they're talking about it maybe going away, or there's no real plans. There's a lot of unease here. Ford and Automotive News are not saying much about the Transit. Electrek is saying that it's going away. Now, Ford does not have a unified EV platform. Let's talk about EVs for a second. I know many viewers really, really hate EVs, but they are the future. They are coming. But Ford, I think they're playing it smart. They've been talking about a future not only where they are continuing to invest in internal combustion engines, but also in hybrids. And I think that's really, really smart. And I think of hybrids as range extenders, where you're primarily an EV and there's an engine to give you that range. I love that idea. I think that is where EVs need to move to in the next 20, 30, 40 years. But nobody's listening to me. So Ford is developing their own platform. And if we take this notice that the Escape is going to be sunsetting around 2025. That means while Ford has said they are deep in development of their own platform, that means it's probably 2 years away before they have a platform that they can build the next generation vehicles on. That puts them at least 3 years behind General Motors. But they're at least working on it. And I see Ford as the other side of the coin from Toyota, whereas Toyota felt like they were ignoring EVs and talking about hybrids and talking about hydrogen. At least Ford is talking about EVs. In fact, Ford is the second best seller of EVs in the US. They've got the Mach-E, they've got the F-150 Lightning. Now, second place puts them far behind Tesla. So it's kind of a participation trophy, if nothing else. But at least they've been doing something while losing billions doing it. They've got to establish a standard, a standardization, and scale up to make this thing profitable. And it looks like we're still a couple of years away from it. So I think the Escape is probably going to become an EV. Not a surprise when you've got the Equinox EV coming out from General Motors in the near future. I think the Edge, they don't talk about replacing it. And that's a little bit of a surprise. So I wonder what they could pull together to make this work. So Ford had been partnered with Volkswagen to use a platform over in Europe. And that's part of where the Explorer EV that's only available over there came from. They've canceled that, but you have to think that they need something between the Explorer and the Escape, something in that 2-row range. While they're not talking about it yet, I fully expect an announcement from Ford saying, yeah, here comes an EV and it's going to be a 2-row one. I expect a little bit tidier proportions, maybe a little bit not lighter because of the batteries, but a little bit tidier in how it's proportioned. And then the Explorer. While they haven't talked about it, the current Explorer is a big moneymaker for them. They have a EV Explorer over in Europe, and they haven't talked about canceling the Explorer here in America. But I kind of expect it. And I don't expect a full EV one. I think it's too important to the company. I think that they may do something like what they did with the F-150. The F-150 is the gifted child for Ford. They have the ICE version, and then they have an EV version, and they're going to have a new platform that's going to spawn the next truck, EV truck. I expect the same thing with the Explorer. Well, that's not the three we're talking about here. When you look at the small, medium, large, extra large of Ford SUVs, you've got to talk about the Explorer. I expect the next one to be a hybrid with an EV adjacent option. And it leaves me with the Transit. A lot of delivery people, a lot of delivery companies are moving towards EVs. And that's something Ford's been edging towards. And I think the next platform, they're trying to design one platform that can be used up and down their entire spectrum. There's no real details about it I can share. But I expect the next Transit to come out somewhere in that 2025, 2026 model years based on a pure EV for customers that can plug it in at night and charge it up. I'm a little excited about this, not because of the EV move. I think Ford is really tipping their hand a little bit here, talking about canceling things when they're still basically developing a platform that's 2 years away. But I do like that they've talked about we need to have a mix of fuels. And I'm interested to see how that Escape, Edge, Explorer, Transit, what they do with the powertrain options for a platform and how it all comes together. I'm personally expecting something that's really flexible in terms of you can have full EV, you can have a smaller battery with a range extender, you can have hybrid. I hate to see the Escape go away from being purely a gas-powered car. I've always kind of liked it. The current one is kind of a mix of really good and really bad. But I've liked it for years now, probably a decade or more. So I'm excited to see what it becomes. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks.